Mental tranquility emerges naturally when you understand where psychological disturbance actually originates. Most emotional turbulence doesn't stem from current circumstances, but from mental commentary about those circumstances. This commentary usually involves projections into imagined futures or ruminations about past events, neither of which exist in present reality. Your nervous system responds to mental narratives as if they were immediate physical threats, creating stress responses to scenarios that may never occur. This biological programming served our ancestors well when facing genuine physical dangers, but becomes counterproductive when applied to abstract concerns about career prospects, relationship dynamics, or social situations. The distinction between what's happening and what you're thinking about what's happening represents one of the most practical psychological insights available. Current circumstances, however challenging, exist within manageable parameters. Mental elaborations about those circumstances can expand infinitely, creating suffering that far exceeds any actual problem. Present moment awareness doesn't require special techniques or altered states of consciousness. It involves recognizing that your direct experience right now contains only what you can perceive through your senses and immediate circumstances. Everything else represents mental construction that, while sometimes useful for planning, becomes problematic when mistaken for current reality. This recognition transforms your relationship with problems. Instead of carrying accumulated stress from imagined scenarios, you address actual situations with clear attention. Real problems require practical solutions, which emerge more readily from calm assessment than from emotional reactivity to projected difficulties. People who appear naturally resilient have often developed skill in distinguishing between immediate challenges and mental elaborations. They respond to what's actually occurring rather than to their interpretations, projections, or fears about what might occur. This creates an impression of unusual calmness, but it reflects practical wisdom rather than special talent. The practice involves noticing when attention has wandered into abstract mental territories and gently returning focus to direct experience. This doesn't mean suppressing thoughts about the future or past, but rather maintaining awareness of when you're engaging in mental time travel versus responding to present circumstances. Physical sensations provide reliable anchors for present moment awareness. The feeling of breathing, the temperature of air on skin, or the sensation of feet touching ground exist only now. These experiences offer immediate access to present reality when mental activity becomes overwhelming or unproductive. Common misconceptions about present moment awareness include the belief that it requires constant meditation or that it means ignoring future planning. Effective living requires appropriate attention to both present circumstances and future considerations. The key lies in maintaining awareness of when you're planning versus when you're worrying, when you're learning from the past versus when you're ruminating. Emotional reactivity decreases significantly when you recognize that feelings often respond to mental narratives rather than immediate situations. When you pause to examine what's actually happening versus what you're thinking about what's happening, many emotional disturbances lose their intensity naturally. Decision-making improves when you distinguish between anxiety about potential outcomes and actual information relevant to your choice. Present moment awareness allows you to access intuitive guidance and practical wisdom that anxiety tends to obscure. Clear decisions emerge more readily from calm assessment than from fearful speculation. Relationships benefit enormously from this understanding. Instead of responding to assumptions about others' motivations or projections about future interactions, you can engage with what people are actually saying and doing. This creates space for authentic connection and reduces conflict based on misunderstandings or premature judgments. Work situations become more manageable when you address current tasks rather than carrying mental stress about everything that needs completion. Present focus allows you to engage fully with whatever requires attention now, often improving both efficiency and quality of work while reducing overall stress. The practice deepens through repeated recognition that this moment contains sufficient resources for handling this moment's requirements. You don't need to solve future problems with current information, nor do you need to perfect past decisions that can't be changed. Energy becomes available for constructive action when it's not dissipated through mental time travel. Physical health improves when you're not chronically activating stress responses through worried thinking. Your body can allocate resources more efficiently to maintenance and repair when it's not preparing for imaginary emergencies generated by anxious mental projections. Sleep quality often improves dramatically when you develop skill in returning attention to immediate sensory experience rather than engaging with mental narratives about daily concerns. The body's natural relaxation response functions more effectively when not interrupted by psychological arousal from abstract worries. Creativity flourishes in present moment awareness because original insights often emerge from direct engagement with current experience rather than from recycling previous thoughts. When attention isn't fragmented across multiple mental time frames, more energy becomes available for creative perception and expression. The approach requires developing what could be called gentle vigilance. You notice when attention has wandered into unproductive mental territories without criticizing yourself for the wandering. This kind of awareness naturally guides attention back to present reality without creating additional mental commentary about mental commentary. Common challenges include the habit of equating mental activity with productivity. Many people resist present moment awareness because they believe constant thinking about problems demonstrates responsibility or care. Learning to distinguish between useful planning and unproductive worrying allows you to maintain appropriate concern while avoiding unnecessary stress. Environmental awareness increases when you're not absorbed in mental narratives. You notice subtle changes in surroundings, pick up on social cues more readily, and respond more appropriately to situational demands. This enhanced perception often creates impressions of increased intuition or sensitivity. The practice integrates naturally into daily activities rather than requiring separate meditation sessions. Whether eating, walking, working, or conversing, you can maintain awareness of direct experience while engaging fully with whatever the situation requires. This transforms ordinary activities into opportunities for developing presence. Long-term practitioners often describe a shift from feeling victimized by circumstances to feeling capable of responding appropriately to whatever arises. This doesn't mean that difficult situations become easy, but rather that you develop confidence in your capacity to handle actual challenges without being overwhelmed by imaginary complications. Understanding present moment awareness reveals that peace isn't something you achieve through changing circumstances, but something you access by recognizing what's actually happening versus what you're adding through mental commentary. This recognition provides a reliable foundation for navigating life's inevitable uncertainties and challenges. The transformation happens gradually through repeated choice to return attention to immediate reality when you notice it has wandered into unproductive mental territories. Each return strengthens your capacity to remain present during increasingly challenging situations, building psychological resilience through practice rather than theory. Social interactions become more satisfying when you're actually present with people rather than mentally rehearsing what you'll say next or analyzing what they meant by previous comments. Authentic connection requires presence, which becomes natural as you develop skill in maintaining attention on current experience. Professional effectiveness often increases because present moment focus allows you to engage fully with tasks without the distraction of mental commentary about other responsibilities. This focused attention typically produces better results in less time than scattered attention across multiple concerns. Anxiety management becomes more straightforward when you recognize that anxiety usually involves mental projection into imagined futures. By returning attention to present circumstances, you can assess what actually requires attention now versus what represents unnecessary worry about possibilities that may never materialize. The ultimate insight involves recognizing that this moment is the only time when life actually occurs. Past and future exist as mental constructions that can be useful for learning and planning, but become problematic when mistaken for present reality. This recognition naturally prioritizes engagement with actual life over engagement with mental commentary about life. Decision paralysis often resolves when you focus on what information is actually available now, rather than waiting for complete certainty about outcomes that can't be predicted with precision. Present moment awareness allows you to make reasonable decisions with available information while remaining flexible as circumstances evolve. The practice becomes self-reinforcing as you experience the benefits of present awareness in daily life. Each time you handle a situation more effectively from a present state of mind, you build confidence in this approach and become more willing to apply it during challenging circumstances. Understanding that most psychological suffering stems from mental time travel rather than current circumstances provides immediate relief in many situations. This recognition doesn't eliminate all difficulties, but it does eliminate much unnecessary suffering created by anxious thinking about problems that exist only in mental projection. The development continues throughout life as you encounter new situations that test your capacity to remain present during various forms of stress or uncertainty. Each challenge provides an opportunity to deepen your skill in distinguishing between useful mental activity and counterproductive mental commentary. Present moment awareness ultimately reveals that clarity, peace, and appropriate responsiveness are natural qualities of consciousness that become accessible when not obscured by excessive mental elaboration. These qualities don't need to be created or achieved, but simply allowed to emerge through attentional practices that support direct engagement with immediate reality.